I don't know about that. But what was the other positive thing? There was a positive thing I was going to say, but now
There
I
were
can't
two
remember.
positive things you said.
I can't remember what it is. We're going to have to live without it.
No.
You did that, Rick.
I know. No.
Yeah.
This is good. Lisa, this is for you. Okay. I observed that in the same Washington Post that I've obviously been reading, although I'm not supposed to be because Bezos, whatever, Ed Whelan, of all people, wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post saying, you can't just recess appoint Matt Gaetz. What are you doing? Ed Whelan is basically a political operative PR guy who's very much in league with the Leonard Leo people. So Ed Whelan attacking the Matt Gaetz thing in the fucking Washington Post says to me that there is already a rift, or to use a word that Leonard Leo would approve of, a schism between Team Leo and Team Oligarch. And that's the other thing that we have to remember. It's not incompetence. I mean, although there's plenty of incompetence for sure. Trump is everyone's behind him because they want to get something, right? There's not a monolithic thing that's going on. And the key difference between Trump and Hitler, it's not the size issue. It's that Hitler really believed all the shit. Like, he really ideologically believed the stuff. Trump doesn't give a shit. He just wants to stay out of jail and steal stuff, and exact revenge on a couple of people. That's all he cares about. He's not out there trying to do things. So we've got that going for us. So, when you saw that, Lisa, and Ed Whelan, I agree with Ed Whelan. What the fuck is going on, right? So I'm like, first of all, do you think that this is an indication of some kind of schism or just a one-off? And second of all, are you Team Leo or Team Oligarch? Because God damn it, I think I'm fucking Team Leo. At least they believe in the rule of law on some level. Jesus fucking Christ.
I know. It was a shock. I mean, now we're all going to quote Zillow Ed, who was so unmasterful in his efforts to pretend there was an alternative bad guy who attacked.
Did you call him Zillow Ed?
Zillow Ed. Zillow Ed. But in Zillow Ed's defense,
this was the Kavanaugh thing for people who are like. It was trying to figure out how maybe it wasn't Christine Blasey Ford got things confused and she wasn't at the same house, and he went to Zillow and
But so that was, he stepped back from his job for a period and now he's back. But in Zillow Ed's defense, he's citing the actual Federalist Papers, that say things like, we need this advice and consent because otherwise you might have people who are ill-suited to these positions getting jobs of power in the cabinet. And so, and the founders were right about that, you need advice and consent because you have to have a check on power. When Trump, takes that oath to, follow the Constitution, it means nothing because he hasn't read it, doesn't care what's in it. But one of the things that's in it is that the Senate plays a role of advice and consent. And you also had, to your point of, some potential silver lining, you had a situation where just in the last 24 hours, the Senate Republicans bucked Trump and Susan Collins. The woman who's his Wiles, the woman who
Wiles,
Wiles, who's his incoming chief of staff, who wanted Rick Scott to be their Senate man to basically do whatever they want, since she helped Rick Scott get his position of power, notwithstanding his 100 claims of taking the fifth in that Medicare, Medicaid fraud litigation. But, so they bucked him and they didn't choose Rick Scott, the man that Trump wanted. They chose John Thune, who, I haven't been a fan of. But, that was a sign in theory that they're not going to just go along with it. But John Thune would have to basically never recess the Senate for fear of Trump installing whomever he wants. So there is some, hope there that there could be division. And like you said, that there's this notion that it's one thing for Trump to be elected and give them all power to kind of pursue their theocratic agenda or their plutocratic agenda. It's another thing to consent to letting people who really have no business in those roles, like Matt Gaetz at the Justice Department, be confirmed. That there's got to be some standard, not just like there's a standard of just baseline willingness to follow the law, but there's also like the question of blackmailability and, you know, someone being, you know, so vulnerable to pressure because they're so corrupt.
They don't care. There's not a single Republican that cares about that, because I think they actually almost to the letter are all being blackmailed. But
John Thune went to Moscow on the 4th of July, 2018.
No.
He was one of the 4th of July traitors.
Yeah. Silver lining.
I don't know what he was doing there.
Gone.
Maybe it was fine.
Listen, I think we're better off just really coming to terms with they're all going to capitulate 1,000%. So they might do these motions as their brains are like, wait a minute, is there a spine left in me? And then the brain is going to go, no, there's not.